milima na mabonde ya kuvutia. Oweleho Afrika,
Oweleyo, 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 Africa, Africa.
I am Moreno Ocampo. I am the Chief Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court.
Now, take us through the International Criminal Court. What is the jurisdiction of the International Criminal Court?
The International Criminal Court is an agreement between today 113 countries to play together to be sure there is no impunity for the worst crimes as genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes.
Now, according to the information I've got, is that you've got more than 300 cases on your table which are investigating. You're investigating crimes against humanity, but you decided to concentrate on almost 4 cases, and all these are in Africa. Why do you think so?
No, I opened 5 investigations in 5 situations, all of them in Africa, and I'm monitoring other situations like Afghanistan, Georgia, Palestine, Colombia, Guinea. Why that? Because I work in countries where the country accepts that I work. So, as in the same way that a prosecutor from UK cannot go to Germany, I am the prosecutor of 113 countries. So, I cannot investigate Burma, Sri Lanka, Zimbabwe, because they are not the parties. So, I can just investigate where the countries are members of the treaty, and when there are crimes under my jurisdiction, and when they are not doing cases. For instance, Colombia. When I started, the worst crimes were committed in Congo, 5,000 killings. Colombia, similar numbers, 5,000 killings. The difference is Congo recognized they cannot investigate a case themselves. They were still organizing themselves. Colombia, on the other side, they were doing cases. So my duty as a prosecutor is to intervene when the country cannot intervene. So that's why my intervention requires that first the country is a member state, there are crimes against humanity, war crimes of genocide, and third, that they are not doing cases. That's why I end in Congo, Uganda, Central African Republic. In these 3 cases, the president of the country requested me to intervene, so it was the president of the country invited me. Then the Security Council decided to my intervention in Darfur, and then I am working in Kenya. That's my 5 cases. And we're working there because there are victims there. And no one cares about them. I care about them.
Now, if you have been mandated to work in areas by heads of states or by the legislation within the country, why is it that there's been a lot of uproar within Africa, especially the countries that you're working in? Why are they not very, very cooperative?
No, I think what happened is, first, normally in Darfur, in Kenya, victims are very supportive. Uganda was complicated because in Uganda, the group who committed the worst crimes, Lawrence Army, was attacking Atrocities, but to attack Museveni. And in north of Uganda, they hate more Museveni than Kony. So in Uganda, the beginning was complicated. Now it's okay, because at the end, we stopped LRA. So, of course, for the leaders who are not members of this, so there are 56 countries in Africa, 31 are members, and 25 are not. So Gaddafi, Bashir, they don't like ICC, they are afraid. And that so African Union is a club of leaders. So it's complicated for the good leaders to fight against the bad leaders. So they try to do it individually. For instance, President Zuma was very clear. President Bashir, you cannot come to the World Cup, you will be arrested. President Museveni was clear, Nigeria. But in African Union it's complicated, so it's a tension. I think for me, yesterday was a good, this presence of Bashir in the new constitution of Kenya is a perfect example. The possibilities and the fear and the dangers that Africa is facing today. Africa is facing the future, and their leaders pushing for the future, and Africa is also their leaders pushing back. And Bashir in the new constitution in Kenya, who is expressing the hopes of the Kenyans, and Bashir there, who is expressing the fear of victims of Bashir, showed this moment of tension. But my feeling is in Africa today, there's a critical mass of people who want change, who want to go ahead. That's why in Africa we're helping them. I'm working in Palestine, it's different. You don't see this energy to move ahead, you see more complicated. But in Africa, they're ready. Why in Africa? Because the crimes today happen in Africa. I cannot invent crimes. So I'm going to where the crimes are, what I can do.
Okay, let's talk about Kenya. You've spoken about Odinga, about al-Bashir being in Kenya. Presumably my viewers will need to know what is the present position, the relationship between ICC and Kenya. What's the present position? You've got the list, nobody knows who's on the list. Maybe you could tell us who's on that secret list.
No. When I decided, in Kenya, in the post-election violence, it's a crime against humanity. More than 1,200 people were killed, more than 3,000 was hurt, more than 100,000 people displaced. And for a while, Kenya was trying to investigate themselves. So Kenya set a national commission of investigation, and they tried to discuss to create a court to investigate. When they failed, I went to Nairobi, met with President Kibaki and Prime Minister Odinga, and I told them, look, I'm ready to open a case, but you can invite me to come, as Uganda and Congo did. I told them, I will open a case, you can invite me to come, or I will independently. President Kibaki was very clear, prosecutor, we cannot refer the case to you, but we'll support you. And then he went out to the media to explain that. So I opened an investigation in Kenya, independently, but supported by the government. And I will do my case. Who will be prosecuted, I don't know yet, because we're collecting evidence. I had to move to the court with evidence. When I present this person committed this crime, I had to prove that. So I cannot just make decision because I don't like someone. I'm a professional prosecutor, so I'm collecting evidence. I will present 2 cases against 2 or 3 persons each case before the end of the year. And I hope this will allow Kenya to do justice for the past, to avoid the repetition of conflict in the future.
Now, political parties could say that the fact that Kenya was moving forward, had a new constitution, they were celebrating the new constitution, then at the same time they invited al-Bashir to their country. Political parties say that that was a snap in your face. Do you agree with that?
No, as I said before, show the contradictions, show the difficulties, show the push for the future, and people trying to go back. It's not against me, it's against the battlefield victims. It's to protect, maybe someone support the idea to show that those who commit massive crimes could be supported.
Part of your mandate is to rely on the support of the national governments and the people as well, but it looks like not only that you have had problems with the government, people as well, they think that you're not respecting their local sensitivities. In cases when you talk about the Acholi, they had the matter of boot and the other Timechoka methods of justice, but for you just say, no, I don't want to know this. Is that true?
No, in London, I met in 2004 here with David Ochama, the paramount chief of the Acholis, to tell him how important was the traditional method. But in all Africa, you will find the same. You need traditional method, but also you need criminal justice. You need both. That's what people in Africa want.
Now that brings in the question of peace and justice. To you, as the head of the ICC, what comes first? Is it peace or is it justice? Because in cases of northern Uganda, even Kenya, they think that you're pushed for justice and elbowed away peace. So as far as you're concerned, which comes first, peace or justice?
No, it's not my opinion. I'm a prosecutor. I apply the law. So I have a mandate. My mandate is to investigate and prosecute. I cannot do something different. So I should investigate and prosecute. That's a mandate defined by the states. So I am applying the law. That's what I am doing. And of course, I believe in that. So the decision to make justice, to ensure peace, is a decision adopted by 113 states who ratified the treaty and say, yes, this is what we want. And that's what the world learned. In Argentina with the justice, in South Africa, in different countries, people learn we should not allow this to repeat. So that's what we are doing here.
Now, have you reconciled, as the ICC reconciled with the AU? And do you think you will ever get al-Bashir or any other person in Africa, in African leaders who strays? Have you reconciled with the AU?
I have no conflict with the EU. I was in, Kofi Annan is representing the African Union in Kenya, working very well. President Mbeki is representing the African Union in Darfur, we work very well with him. Of course, there are political tensions expressing these political statements, but the African Union is committed, so I'm working very well with them. And they are blaming Security Council, in fact. They say Security Council is not listening to them, and I agree with them. Security Council should listen. President of Malawi should listen what African Union has to say, because, of course, for me, there is no possibility of solution in Africa without the African Union who could do that. And for me, it was clear from the beginning. The first time I met President Mbeki was in 2004. He was with the former president of Mali, Mr. Konare, who was the first chairperson, and for me it was clear. I told them, look, I am doing a contribution to your work, so for me it's clear, African Union led.
So do you think that you will ever, during your time as the prosecutor of the ICC, that you will ever get al-Bashir or anybody else?
We have 4 prisoners in jail, so we have prisoners and we have more prisoners. Al-Bashir is the most difficult case because he's a president. And he's a head of state, so arresting head of state is not easy, requires time, and it's a complex activity. I think his destiny is to face justice. That's what Richard Nixon happened in I would say, Richard Nixon in the US. He committed crimes in Watergate, he was re-elected, and then at the end he was demoted, so, because to prosecute the president, you need him to remove him from the job. So, one day, President Bashir will not be president, and one day he will face justice, I'm sure. For me, the problem is, the court is a permanent court, so the court can wait. The victims in Darfur, they cannot wait. They are raped today. And interestingly, what Bashir is doing is, he ordered to expel those members of the UN who are working in detecting rapes. So, they are not stopping the rapes, they are stopping the information about the rapes. So my job is to ensure that victims receive justice. That's my job, and I will do it.
Now, maybe as I'm trying to wind this up, I've got one or two questions to go. Is that you have spoken about Darfur and the victims. There have been lots of conflicting schools of thoughts. One school of thought says there was genocide. There is genocide in Darfur. What's your position? Do you agree with that?
I request the genocide charges, and I have the issue was discussed by 10 judges in different chambers in the ICC, and they adopted a decision, out of warrant decision for genocide in Darfur. So I have no doubt. If Bashir has to be, is still innocent, he should be prosecuted, but he should go to court and face charges. But they are pending out of warrant against President Bashir for genocide.